everyone. My name is Clarence with the Rapid Returns Show, powered by MeetOtis.com. Today, I'm joined by Darren with Prosperity, and we're going to talk to Darren about his business, how he scaled it, how he identified a problem and solved it, and my challenge is to find out a tip that I can give Darren to accelerate his digital marketing and get rapid returns. How you doing, Darren?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for coming on. So
It's a
please
pleasure.
tell us, prosperity, very interesting concept. Probably a lot of our viewers have not heard of before. So can you kind of explain the problem that you identified and how this came about?
Yeah, sure. No problem. So, Prosperity is solving the consumer debt problem that affects over 4 billion people globally. Currently, consumers only have one option when it comes to paying off their loan debt, and that is taking funds out of their own pockets. So, Prosperity gives consumers a new option and an alternative source of funds to pay off their debt. And we're doing this by giving consumers access to the hundreds of billions of dollars available every year from digital ad revenue. So imagine yourself as a consumer with debt, having access to the billions of dollars people like Google and Facebook get every year in ad revenue to pay off your debt and to improve your finances. So basically, in a nutshell, that's what Prosperity is and what we're doing to help consumers improve their finances.
So most people do not know that that's an option, right?
Exactly.
How, it sounds like you had to educate a market. How did you identify the early adopters that would be able to understand this concept and use it effectively? And how did you reach them?
Yeah. So in the beginning, I looked at initially like what my who my early adopters would be, and then I decided to look at persons with student loans, and so these persons would have at least a bachelor's degree, and they would be either Gen Zs or millennials, which means that they have some idea of how to use current fintech personal finance applications, as well as they would easily understand what we're trying to do and why. And I was able to tap into that, should I say, market of the millions of people who have gone through college and have at least a bachelor's degree, and they have tons of student loan debt. And so through my network, I was able to get in front of a lot of students from different colleges and explain what we're doing and how they're going to benefit. So that was how we got access to our initial users and our initial target market. And then we expanded out.
So can you kind of talk to our audience about that process, right? Because a lot of great companies have started on college campuses, like Tinder, for example, right?
Yeah.
What did you learn through that effort? You started out with, I think, very great assumptions, and then I'm assuming you probably learned what assumptions were right and what were wrong, and messaging and things like that. So how did that evolve as you found that audience fit?
Yeah, great question. So initially, to be honest, our messaging was off in the sense that a lot of our target market was like, what are you guys talking about? Like, how does this even work? And so we had to adjust our messaging to ensure that as part of that delivery, we explained like how the platform actually works and what the consumers or the person with the student loan debt has to do on our platform in order for them to get access to the funds for them to pay off their debt. So that was a learning experience. The initial pitch got people excited, but then they were lost as to like, okay, I think I understand what you guys are trying to do, but then how does it work? And what exactly do I have to do? And so we had to sort of pivot and craft our messaging to ensure that we include in that messaging how the platform actually works and what the consumer has to do on their end to ensure that they have access to the funds that we say they can have access to pay off their debt. So that
How
was,
long did that process take, out of curiosity?
so it took us around 2 months to catch on that people were a bit lost. In fact, the way that we realized that we were lacking is I did some like one-on-one customer interviews, and then a lot of the people who I interviewed were like, we understand the concept at a higher level, but I'm lost as to like what do I actually have to do to get access to that money to pay off my debt. And so from those interviews, I was able to go, I didn't even realize that people did not understand like what they actually needed to do. And from those interviews, we were able to get that insightful feedback and then like redo everything, like recraft the entire messaging and the strategy um, to make it clear and concise, so that when we finish pitching to potential customers, they had a very good idea of everything, the problem was.
That's
Yeah,
terrific that you did that.
yeah.
That's super important to do for those of you listening out there. Talking to your customers, especially in the beginning, and understanding how your messaging is resonating with them
Mhm.
is super important. So, um, since you did invest that time and you listened to your potential customers and got the messaging right,
Yep.
my next question is, once you got that dialed in, how did you scale and what challenges did you face as you scaled, now having the right messaging?
So how we managed to scale was we used network effects and referral marketing or referrals. So a lot of the initial students or consumers that we met with, we simply asked them to like spread the word in their networks. So each one tell one, and so we saw that it scaled rapidly, where a lot of new people were uh, signing up on the platform, and the source of the traffic came a lot from different colleges across the country, and we were like, okay, wow, we did not expect this to like spread so quickly, um, like wildfire. So like
So
each
you
one,
went viral.
yes. So each one
That's
actually
great.
did tell one. So because I mean, as you know,
How did you encourage them to tell others?
yeah. So like after I speak to them, so like so for example, how we triggered it is like the consumers that we spoke to were very influential people in their different networks.
Mm,
So, for example, I have one colleague who plays or who used to play baseball while
okay.
in college, and he was very popular. And so we spoke, and then he explained, I explained everything to him, and then he understood. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to tell all my colleagues and my teammates, and then they are going to tell their networks. So therefore, it just spread like that. um, and so,
That's terrific.
yeah,
That's you can't plan for that, can you?
no, no, you can't. Yeah. So, like,
Um,
yeah,
so I'm sorry. Just speaking of things that you can't plan for, that's very fortunate, but um, I'm glad that you had that happen. Uh, in addition to going viral,
mhm.
does paid advertising or a paid customer acquisition strategy of any kind come into your strategy?
Yeah. So, we actually, as part of our strategy and plan, was we were planning to do paid ads, um, SEO on search, and uh, also videos and display ads on social. So we did try that, But as usual, which is actually part of the problem that we're solving, is the fact that like the conversion rates were like extremely low, and yet we were forking out so much money on ads that the most that we would get, for example, on social would be one person may like the ad and that's it. But there's no real conversion from that ad to our website.
Okay, so let's talk about that.
Yeah.
How did you target those ads, and how did you run those campaigns?
So
So,
again,
so
like,
who were you targeting the ads towards, I guess, first of all, and how are you
yeah,
measuring the results?
right. So what we did was we had an idea of what our ideal customer or who that person was. And so for to start, what it was, as I said earlier, um, anyone that, well, um, preferably Gen Z and millennials that have a college degree, and we assume that they probably have some form of debt, and in particular student loan debt. So like to us, that was our ideal customer profile, and so we targeted these this group, and we did reach them in the sense that they viewed the ad, so like they were impressions, but then that's it. There was no conversion, which is what we wanted. We paid for conversions where at least these people would come to our website to see our content, but that wasn't happening. All they were doing is like they would see the ad, so we would register an impression, but then that's it. And like we were like, so this is we were after a while saying to ourselves, like we're wasting a lot of money. And like, why are we doing this when we have a lot of referral marketing in our favor where we're not spending any money whatsoever? So our CAC was like zero. If we just left it to spread how it is spreading currently, which is through referrals. And so we decided to stop spending money, stop wasting money on social and even on search, which, as I said, is part of the problem that we're trying to solve, which is the other part of our platform. So basically, and I forgot to mention this, it's like basically what our platform does is it matches consumers with B2C brands, and these brands tell us what action they want the consumers to do. And then once the consumer completes those actions, the brands pay us. And then we simply use a portion of the revenue that we collect from these brands to pay off the consumer's loans. So that's how our platform works. And we are also solving the problem on the brand side where a lot of brands
We
complain
need to
that,
reach those consumers for
yeah,
sure.
yeah. So we are solving a problem for both the brand side of the platform and the consumer side. So the brand side would be like a lot of brands say they spend so much money on ads on social and in search, but the ROI is extremely poor. Their revenue is extremely low, and I mean the costs are really exorbitant.
Well, you experienced that yourself too.
Exactly. Personally, yes. So personally, we experience that ourselves. So when brands speak to us about it, it's like we know what they're talking about because we have lived it and we've seen where we wasted so much time and money on ads just for someone to see an ad. But that's it. All our target market does is see our ad and they may like it, but then that's not what we want. Our objective.
Darren,
Yeah.
I already have a rapid returns tip for you.
Please.
It's actually your own advice.
Okay.
So earlier on, you said that in the beginning,
yeah,
your messaging wasn't quite right.
Yeah.
So you took the time to test different messaging and talk to your potential clients and find out what worked on what clients, right?
Correct. Yep.
Paid advertising is not much different from that. So in order to run effective paid campaigns, you have to test different audience targeting along with the messaging towards that audience,
Mhm.
the platforms that it's run on, different keywords, etc. Right?
Yeah.
And we have to look at what's working and what's not working in terms of what's converting in the bottom of the funnel, right? Not just link clicks, but like what's turning into a sign up or a customer. And just like you spent those 2 months doing that, somebody has to be watching those ad campaigns and learning from them and testing different things and what's working. And the faster that you fail, right, the faster you find out what's working and what's not working and optimize, the less budget you have to spend on the experimentation. And eventually you will find the right mix, just like you did with your messaging, of what does work on paid, because paid does work, right? But you have to find the right mix of and the right strategy of what works on paid and find it as fast as possible. So, so the tip that's related to that is, and Otis can obviously do this for you, right? So I have to plug that, but however you do it, use that scientific approach to test, learn, and optimize based on what's working. And then paid ads will work for you. And when you, it's amazing that you have viral growth. Like that is something that few companies have the luxury of having, and it's tremendous. But having a coin operated customer acquisition channel is also very important to any business's growth. Being able to know that you don't have to rely on your influencers or your customers to be in charge of your revenue growth. But you have a channel that you can invest X in and get Y back in is hugely important. So my tip would be to take the same approach and find the right solution for that coin driven channel. And then scale as fast as you want.
That sounds good. Thank you so much for that bit of advice.
And for those out there, if you found this rapid returns interview helpful, please leave a comment below. If you do decide to sign up for Meet Otis yourself, we have a $250 ad credit match that you can take advantage of. And we'd love to hear your feedback. And if you have student loan debt, Darren has a solution for it.
Yes, we do.
Thank you, Darren.
Sure, no problem.